The thing about lighthouses is that they're supposed to guide people safely to shore. But what no one tells you is that they also warn you about what not to approach. I learned this the hard way. For the past 10 years, I've been the keeper of an old lighthouse perched on the edge of a jagged cliff somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. It's isolated, just me, the waves, and the fog. The fog, it's always there. People think lighthouses are romantic places, but I can tell you this. Being alone for weeks at a time, with only the sound of fog horns and crashing waves, can make your mind play tricks on you. But I'm not crazy. I swear. It started 3 months ago, on a night when the fog was so thick it felt like it had weight. I've done my rounds, made sure the light was functioning, and was sitting down for a late dinner when I heard it. A faint tapping at the window. The thing is, my living quarters are 70 feet off the ground. The sound was rhythmic, deliberate. Tap, 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 like fingers on glass. At first, I thought it was a bird, but when I turned to look, there was nothing there. Just the fog pressing against the panes. Still, I felt watched. I shook it off, chalked it up to my imagination, and went to bed. The tapping became a nightly occurrence, always at the same time, 11:15 p.m. Sometimes it was soft, like a polite knock. Other times it was frantic, like someone desperate to be let in. I stopped looking out the window. I didn't want to know. One night, the foghorn malfunctioned. I climbed the spiral stairs to check the mechanism, and as I reached the top, I saw it, a shadow moving through the fog, too tall and too thin to be human. It moved with an unnatural grace, gliding rather than walking. My breath caught in my throat. It stopped just at the edge of the light's reach, as if the beam was a barrier it couldn't cross. Then it turned its head, or what I think was its head, toward me. Even through the fog, I could feel its gaze, cold, hungry. I stumbled back down the stairs, locking every door behind me. That night, the tapping didn't come from the window. It came from the door. I reported the incident to my supervisor the next day. He laughed it off, said isolation can make people see things. You're just imagining it, he said. The fog does weird things to sound and light, but I know what I saw. Over the next few weeks, things escalated. The foghorn would cut out randomly, plunging the area into silence. The light would flicker, casting shadows that didn't match the objects around them. And the tapping? It started coming from inside the lighthouse. One night, I woke up to a scratching sound behind the wall. My room is solid brick. There's nothing back there. But the sound was insistent, like nails raking across the mortar. When I pressed my ear to the wall, I swear I heard breathing. 2 weeks ago, a storm rolled in. The waves were massive, crashing against the cliffs with enough force to shake the lighthouse. The fog was thicker than ever, the beam of light barely penetrating it. That's when the voices started. They came from the radio, crackling and distorted. At first, it sounded like static, but then I heard words. Let us in. We're cold. Let us in. over and over like a chant. I yanked the plug out of the wall, but the voices didn't stop. They grew louder, overlapping until they were deafening. I ran to the lantern room, hoping the light would keep whatever it was at bay. As I climbed the stairs, I heard footsteps below me, heavy, deliberate. I reached the top and slammed the hatch shut, locking myself inside. The fog pressed against the glass, swirling like it was alive. But then I saw them, figures, dozens of them, moving through the fog. They surrounded the lighthouse, their faces indistinct, but wrong. Their mouths opened wider than should be possible, emitting a low guttural hum that vibrated in my chest. One of them reached out, pressing a long, spindly hand against the glass. It left a smear of darkness, like oil. The light flickered and went out. I don't remember how long I stayed up there, clutching a wrench and staring into the void. When dawn came, the fog had receded and the figures were gone, but the smear on the glass remained. I've tried reporting these incidents, but no one believes me. The closest town thinks I'm just the crazy lighthouse keeper. My supervisor told me to take a vacation, but I can't leave. I don't think the fog will let me. Last night, the tapping came back, but this time it was accompanied by a voice. A low, whispering voice that said, "You can't keep us out forever." And they're right. The light stopped working this morning. The foghorn won't sound. The fog is creeping closer, thicker than I've ever seen it. I can hear them now, moving through the fog, their voices blending into the wind. They want in, and I don't know if I can stop them.